Well guys, in front of you are some of the two most used medium duty knives that I have here. And like I always say, if you guys have followed me from the beginning, you guys know that I really enjoy the Gerber LMF. I know a lot of you don't. A lot of people just can't get over the fact that a $60 blade can do things that other things can't. You know, I'm not going to get into that. I've really enjoyed it for all the years that you guys had watched me do shelter building, Firecraft, everything else. That was it. That was my go-to blade for a very long time. Never had a problem with it. Was looking for something in high carbon instead of stainless, and had an opportunity to test out the High Desert Survival Knife from Tops Knives. Still a great knife. Put the reviews, of course, up top. And let's bring this in, see if we'll focus on it. It'll probably take a second. You can see it's getting some wear. You can see I've got more of a convex grind going on it. Brought that relief edge a little bit further back. And partly the reason, you know, I said a lot of good things about this knife, but there were a couple that I wish would change. One thing I didn't really think was needed was this full 1/4 inch thickness. It really lends itself, especially with the you know, the narrow, whatever you call it, the cut of the blade, as the first bevel here as it comes down is so far down on the knife that it becomes a very steep V. Whereas if they would have started further up as more of a full flat grind, it'd be more of a tapered V. That lends itself to a very obtruse edge, and that's why you see this convex relief edge has been brought out up quite a ways on there. Those were kind of the two negatives. Otherwise, I absolutely love the ergonomics. I like the handle material. Tops does a great job with their heat treatment on here, and it really, you know, it got me into the Tops knives. You know, I'm not really a Tops fan necessarily, but you know, as a fanboy, as a lot of people get into, you know, this one brand of everything. But it definitely sold me on the quality of Tops, and it made me want to see if Tops, maybe out of their huge catalog, if they had something that was maybe similar to this but had those aspects, maybe not quite as thick and a better blade profile. And lo and behold, you know, this was sent to me on for review and entered in a very long and awaited review for many of you. You guys have been watching this in my videos for a very long time, and you've been asking me, you know, hey, when are you going to review this? Even the last couple days, and I know who you are. But yes, it was planned. This is going on not quite a year. I believe I got this back in February or March when they came out. It was shortly after I just finished with the High Desert Survival Knife, and this was on the list to be coming out, and they had an introductory price of $160. I believe through the holidays it is at $120 something. So do a quick search and find that. It's kind of the reason that I was trying to push this up, just to see if maybe you guys can get the holiday pricing on some of this. So if not, if it's too late, I do apologize. First of all, you'll see that it is not a nylon sheath. That was another negative thing that I did have to say. Although it is very functional, I did not care for the sheath. You know, it does have MOLLE, it does have storage. Other than that, there's not much going for it. It's a very plain Jane tactical, you know, nylon sheath. I understand the reasoning behind it. I understand the money behind it, but I still want something a little bit better. And so this is Kydex, and for being a, you know, what I consider a mass-produced blade, you know, it is a very fine Kydex sheath. It is a very nicely finished. All the edges are round. It has a fire steel holder on it. It does have two pins down here, so if you want to attach some cordage, in case you feel that you need to attach it to your thigh or something. But some people have negative comments about the clip when they first came out. As you can see, it does get a little stretched out over time. It's been over the last, you know, like we said, the year of coming in. And occasionally this will snag when you go to take it off, and it'll just pry this up a little bit. Perhaps I can go in there and crimp it down. I haven't really felt the need for it, but it is turnable. So you can mount it easier, either whether you're putting it on a pack or what they consider scout carry. It is, you know, a very customizable belt sheath. One of the things that I consider to be a good sheath is one that I forget about. And many times, if you guys have seen, I've gone out into the woods before work, and I get to work and I'm wearing this thing on my side at the restaurant, and it's not necessarily needed. Certainly over the summer with fire, I don't really have a need for that kind of wilderness blade. I've got plenty of other larger tools that we carry with us, so I don't usually carry a blade this large during fire, so it didn't get much testing done with the summer, just to be honest, completely out there. Finish off with the sheath is it does have a very nice fire steel holder. This is the rod that comes with it. The tip here has a hole for a lanyard, and it is designed to fit in there. Now, alright, sorry I had to switch batteries. We were talking about the fire steel that it comes with. I kind of want to give you guys a close-up here. This is a double magnesium rods and a ferrocerium rod epoxied into this tip. I want you to see, one, for how much use it's gotten, but also see how sort of rough a lot of the texturing is on there. We'll get to that as part of the what they call the Shango notch that's on the end of the knife. And although I love Joe Flowers, I have not used that, I think, with any sort of grace. And what we're talking about here on the knife blade is this little scallop portion that he developed called the Shango notch, and there was a couple Shango knives that came out. As you can see, the high carbon does need a little help with rust, and we'll get to that in the blade. But ideally you use this to shave like a chisel, and it does work. Some people had some issues with it. It will very efficiently, zoom in here. Hi buddy, Max is here for the review. It will efficiently start, scraping those magnesium shavings very quick, and then you come over here, and ideally your knife is still in its sheath, and you can just sort of hit that and get a spark. Well, it does take a little bit of getting used to. And that's kind of why you see the roughness, because you end up sort of gouging. There's no way to really scrape in a traditional fashion on the ferro rod. You kind of chip at it a little bit and away, and I'll even put a link into to Joe's video of how he kind of describes using the Shango notch, because some people have had some issues. Even the Woodsmonkey review gentleman that took it out, there's a lot of great pictures. If I can, I'll do a quick search and I'll put the link down below. A lot of really great photos, and the other link down below is going to be the Facebook. Again, I'm going to have a ton of pictures of that used from last winter when I first got it. There was plenty of snow out, and just a lot of carving and some inserts of videos. But it's a neat idea. I'm not completely sold on its gracefulness. It is effective. The idea behind that you can leave your knife in the sheath, and so all your sharp and scary parts are protected, and then you can use the entire knife then to draw it off. Don't worry, this is a fireproof shemagh that's down here. So I mean, you can get some sparks, as you see on the table, but it definitely gouges your stuff. I would sort of leave that as a, if it was a gross motor skill and something you were doing when you're really cold. But as written in that Woodsmonkey article, that's kind of his problem he had. Was he was cold, his fingers were cold, and he was having a hard time getting that struck into his tinder without knocking his tinder everywhere. I still think that there's plenty of sharp spine on the tip of the Bushcraft knife, that you can easily just use that. I know a lot of people kind of like the back spine. There's still some coating back here where this is sharp enough on the tip that you can you can still get some pretty good sparks. Again, no worries, this is fireproof. So it works fine, but as you can see, with use, it gets chewed up pretty big. So one of the things I just switched to was my larger mesh metal rod. You guys have seen some of my other videos. It's a pretty good size. I'm not sure exactly what size it is. I've got some duct tape around the ends, mostly as an emergency, and the duct tape just happens to be the same diameter that insert is. Alright, get down to the nitty gritty. The knife itself. Quick comparison. Some of you guys have purchased the High Desert Survival Knife and you will be wondering about size comparison. I need my tripod to move smoother. As you can see, handle on handle. This is going to be a smaller blade than the High Desert. Handle length is about the same. The blade is going to be, different shape. The High Desert has that arc in the blade, so it's hard to put side by side. But the main thing you're going to see, remember we talked about thickness. I don't really, with such a high quality job that Tops does, on their steel, I really don't see the need of that 1/4 inch. And so here you see a smaller, I believe it's a 3/16. Not too much smaller, but still, it's a very sturdy knife. But I don't know that it needs that 1/4 inch. And the biggest thing you're going to see is that big old, what they consider to be a Scandi grind. A lot of these brothers of Bushcrafts, a lot of people and a lot of minds and a lot of dirt time went into the design of this blade. And to me, it really is sort of the heavy-duty Mora killer, if you want to say. Alright, while discussing the Mora killer, I went and grabbed the Mora real quick. As you can see, this is one that's been around for a very long time. All the sort of Bushcraft stuff that I do comparisons, this one has held up just fine. It is not broken or anything else. This is one with Duracoated. Hi Max, go lay down. Max saying hello again. But as you can see, it's just no comparison as far as strength, durability. This is still a great lightweight camp knife, but if you're looking for that good grind and overall bushcraft that you can do some more serious firecraft work with, shelter building, but you think a 1/4 inch is too much, then this may be something that you're looking for. Let's see if we can come in closer here so you can kind of see. The micarta is done very well. There is a bow drill socket on both sides, a very large brass hole. I've often been asked if it's a bullet puller. It really depends on what caliber. I haven't necessarily tried it, so you'll have to decide on what caliber you're discussing. Be more specific, there's that Shango notch. There is some hardware which has the typical Allen style. I believe it is stainless simply because I haven't had zero issues with those rusting. To get the handle scales on there, there are some red liners. And as I said in the other Tops review of the High Desert knife, Tops does a fantastic job of the coating. And as you can see, there's the emblem, there's the Tops emblem. This is number 91 in the series. It's basically called the Fieldcraft knife, but it's from Brothers of Bushcraft, so a lot of people call it the Bob knife, B-O-B. All the way out to the tip. And as you can see, this is not normally as dark as you'll see in a lot of other guys' knives. In fact, you can see a little bit here where I had some pitch on here. I was forcing a patina on this because I was having issues with that high carbon and such a large amount of it exposed, especially in the winter in the snow, of keeping this oiled and treated and things like that. And it was sort of hit and miss. I did try some frog lube on it, and I'd have a couple outings where it was just flawless. I'd come back, I had zero issues. And then it would take one outing and I'd come back, and I'll insert some photos here. Of the just one little section rusted. So whether or not that was less frog lubed, I don't really know. I believe I got a thorough coating of it, no matter what. But there's what I consider almost a secondary bevel. Again, this camera, it takes a while to focus this close. Come on. Yeah, here she goes. It really isn't a Scandi grind as much as it is a convex grind. I don't know if that'll be able to show. There's a very strong tip. You see it holds that till the very end. Then you get very sharp and defined sort of swedge top area. but it is definitely, it's more, you can even feel it with your fingers. It's not perfectly flat. It's got a slight convex to it, and so that's mostly what I've been running for sharpening on this. Down the road, I think I will try to reprofile that perfectly flat, but for the meantime, for field expedience, for just having a great strong edge, I have left it that way. And you still get great carvability, if that's a word, but sort of camp chores, it still serves its purpose. It still could be brought back a little bit higher. If you can see on the the Moras still have a fairly shallow Scandi on here. Both are equally extremely sharp. In fact, I think I just took a little bit off there, but kind of gives you an idea. Very similar. Just a terrific design, and as in slight jimping on the back, a little bit of finger guard up front. The handle is the most important thing if you're going to be doing long sort of carving, camp chores, things of that nature. The micarta is extremely smooth, very well rounded. I've not had a single sort of hot spot or any issue, even with the jimping. It isn't sharp, but it's aggressive enough, especially with gloves, that you can hold it well. The back lends itself, but this is not a huge knife. This is not we can bring out the Gerber here. I wish I don't have a measuring tape on me. Of course, all the specs will be on the website, but this is not a huge knife. I think anywhere from the 4-inch to the 6-inch is sort of what I consider the medium and ideal carry, really. You get into larger blades and you aren't really going to carry them on your hip very well unless you're in the jungle environment, and this is all going to be location dependent when you're looking for a survival knife as such. But I think they have a winner here. I really enjoy it. I've not tried to striking this. Like I said, through the summer I didn't get as much work on it as I had hoped, but everything I've done with it I've really enjoyed. It really kind of handles that multitasking aspect of, ideally we don't want to carry multiple blades with us other than maybe redundancy. So you don't want to have something that maybe you have to use for a shelter building or just firecraft or just food preparation, but it's not that much bigger than a Mora, but it has a little bit more capability. I've certainly done enough prying with it, and I'm very happy with it. It's hard to sit here and babble on. I'll let the video I insert and the pictures speak for itself. I would highly recommend it. I'm hoping I get this video out in time so that you guys can take advantage of the sort of the seasonal discount. But I believe it was at $129, something like as such. But it's hard to beat a knife with a Kydex sheath. Some people have issues with the clip, so be it. But very cool knife, and highly recommended from the Beast. And I hope that helps. If you guys have any questions, if I forgot to cover something that maybe you're asking for specifically, leave your comments down below and I will get back to you. And certainly maybe on the next outing, I will cover those issues as it comes up. Thanks for watching, guys.